Happy Wednesday, friends. It's Anthony. I love that we get to experience so much growth when we're teaching yoga, when we're practicing yoga, how we're given all these tools, and then it's up to us to really empower ourselves and see what happens. And I've noticed and experienced along the way that there's this moment in time where we've accumulated all of the information, all of the knowledge, we've done all the learning that we can do on a certain subject, let's say, and then the doing, the execution doesn't happen. And there's a gap there. So I'm going to use myself as an example here. I've wanted a six-pack. I wanted to have like nice defined abs for the last 15 years, and I've never got close to it. And it's not because of a lack of resources or studying or information or knowledge. There's just this moment where I take the bite of pizza and have a drink of soda, or I eat the donuts, and I know I'm not supposed to do it, and then I still do it anyway. And a lot of times what this does is it causes us tons of frustration because we know what we should be doing and we just don't do it. So instead of gathering more information, what I'd like you to do is ask yourself a different question this week when you're noticing that you are thwarting your growth. And that question is revolved around the word willingness. So what am I willing to do, or what am I unwilling to do in this moment? And so to go back to that example, for me, I've just been really unwilling to put the sweets away. And there's a magical thing that happens here. Because what that does, is it identifies the places where I'm stuck, and then that opens up like me to go to work. It lets me know where I can bend, where I can be flexible. It lets me know where I can start to dig in and do some inquiry. And then another thing happens, which is just as cool, and it depends on your perspective, but it lands the responsibility of growth solely on me. So the message that we're sending our teachers, the message that we're sending our students is that you are the greatest teacher in the room is all about responsibility. So when I can look at myself and say, well, I've just been unwilling to put down the treats, it's nobody else's responsibility but mine, changes the way I energetically feel. Because the other thing is also true, like, oh, I did this, I read this, and I just don't know, and it causes frustration, and there's guilt, and then we just go down this rabbit hole that doesn't support growth. So here's what we're going to do, and this is probably going to be a two-part video because this is a lot for you to do. Step number one is to identify where you're unwilling to shift in between the want and the desire of your growth. And then step number two in that is to just own it. Hey, this is mine. I understand it. I accept it. And next week's video is going to focus on what to do once you've identified and owned your unwillingness to sacrifice. And I'm going to give you a little bit of hint, right? We think that sacrifice is this bad word that means like I'm less than and I have to give something up, when in reality the exact opposite is true. By definition, sacrifice means you are giving something up of a lesser value for the greater good. So it's more about aligning to the greater good than it is giving up the treat in the moment. So for this week, take a look at where you're stuck, where you're thwarted on your growth, and then make a list and identify some of the things that you have just been answering no to the question of, am I willing to ... And then send me your feedback, send me your comments, and next week we'll get the second part of what to do once you've identified this so that you can powerfully move forward with the intentions that you have been setting for yourself. I love you guys. Thank you so much for the comments and feedback. I'll see you in a week. Namaste.